when it comes to the Indianapolis Colts, I want to talk about them here for a second. They selected Anthony Richardson with the fourth overall pick. And we all know the Colts' issues at the quarterback position, Price. They haven't been the same since Andrew Luck retired out of nowhere. They brought in a bunch of veterans who didn't work out in Phillip Rivers, in Carson Wentz, in Matt Ryan. And so everyone who was a Colts fan was asking the question, when are we going to draft a young quarterback and build our team around for the future seasons to come? And they finally got Anthony Richardson. So we know Sean Steichen, the former offensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is now the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. So what is your expectations for Anthony Richardson as he plays for a head coach in Shane Steichen, who's going to be his first year as a head coach in Indianapolis? What are your expectations for Richardson?
Well, I think, it was really important for Chris Ballard to finally take a swing here. He honestly kind of came out of this looking like a genius. Yes, he still got the third quarterback off the board, but it really sounds like they were Anthony Richardson or bust as far as the team goes anyway. So, there's a lot of criticism for him not moving up for that Cardinals pick, even though the Texans were the ones who ended up getting it. When you look at Anthony Richardson, right, we're talking about just one of the greatest athletes to ever play the position, bar none, just physical specimen.
Yeah.
And then the arm talent is elite. Now, the ability to be on schedule, to do the little quarterback things, to, limit some of those big mistakes that can come, especially with the step up in the NFL. I mean, he's just a very young prospect as far as a player and as his development goes. I think you look at Anthony Richardson this year and you look at what early Lamar Jackson looked like. Very different runners, right? Lamar Jackson is more shifty and quick and agile, whereas Richardson's a little bit more speed and power. I think you look at like what Justin Fields was last year and what Lamar Jackson was last year and say, this is kind of the goal. I think he has an instant path to production as far as just a running quarterback. I think he'll be a fantasy football darling for that, especially when you look at that offense. Overall, I thought the Colts were probably one of my favorite drafts. I absolutely loved what they did, other than and I don't know, Donovan Smith is still out there, so maybe they'll bring him in. But they didn't really address the tackle position as much as I'd like to see them. But they just went down the list of my guys. Julius Brents out of K-State, extremely long, agile corner. Josh Downs, this is a great landing spot for him, the wide receiver out of North Carolina, because they have so much size on the offense. They've got the tight end who is Jelani Woods, who's very, very young, physical freak. They've got Michael Pittman. They've got Alec Pierce, who's a wide receiver I really like. Downs makes sense in the slot there. He has a clear path to production. And then they even grabbed Evan Hull out of Northwestern, who is a really nice scat back. And they got Adebawore. He's actually a Kansas City kid. He's kind of a tweener, but will probably kick in the defensive tackle. They just came away with a lot there. Yes, I know they got Blake Freeland, but their offense in BYU is extremely RPO heavy. I think he's going to be more of a project. I don't think he's going to be an instant plug and play tackle, but I think that this was you want to talk about one of the teams I think had a franchise altering draft. If Anthony Richardson is what they hope he is, this could be a draft that they look back and say, why are the Colts Super Bowl contenders now? And this could be the reason why.
I agree. I really felt like they had to get a young quarterback, Price, to build their team around. The whole free agent veteran quarterback experiment wasn't working for the Indianapolis Colts, Price. It wasn't. Like Carson Wentz was a bust. Like I said earlier, Matt Ryan was a bust. Phillip Rivers was well past his prime when he got to Indianapolis. So you're bringing in a new head coach in Sean Steichen. Jim Irsay wants to win. He wants to win, Price. He was even talking about they had already drafted Anthony Richardson. They were talking about possibly drafting Will Levis. He was talking about that. That's how desperate Jim Irsay is for a franchise quarterback. So I definitely believe that they're heading in the right direction with Anthony Richardson if he can develop under Sean Steichen.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned all those quarterbacks before. Pretty much the last mobile quarterback that they had was Andrew Luck, and he wasn't exactly by textbook definition mobile. I mean, he could run a little bit, but not a whole lot. And it's almost like they just you know what? Never again. I don't want to see one more statue pocket passer. And they just went the total opposite direction with Anthony Richardson. As a Chiefs fan now, I've been on both sides of it. I've sat there and tried to put on a smile and tell myself that Trent Green and Alex Smith were going to get it done. And now that I've been on the Hall of Fame quarterback ride, I don't want off. And I know that, they've had that. They've had Andrew Luck. They've had Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. And they know you either have that guy or you don't. And if you don't have that guy, pretty much every move you should be making is trying to get that guy and find that guy.